Hello and happy Thursday. Coming at you live here in Lake Tahoe, California this time around. I'm not at Inside Production Studios, but I'm here at my brother's house and I'm with my co-host, the lovely Miss Rognus.
Hi, I'm still in Arizona.
So Kelsey's there in Arizona, but we are Our CEO Network. Our CEO Network, good people, better business, discovering the best of you.
For the next hour, we're going to be talking to a very special guest of ours about his life, business, and all this relationship stuff. We'll be taking questions live, so type in the questions and comments during the broadcast, then we will answer them as we go along. If you're watching us live, give us a heart emoji because we love the loves. If you're watching us on replay, give us a wow emoji because, wow, I can't believe you're not watching us live.
So go ahead and like us here on Facebook and follow us at Our CEO Network, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also head over to ourceonetwork.com for more information about marketing your business and sponsorships during these broadcasts. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Miss Kelsey, hello. How are you doing today?
Hello?
I see you got your glass of wine already.
Nobody was going to see that if I didn't.
Oh, I have mine too, so that's okay.
it's the day after Veterans Day. I mean, it's a little bit slow, so working
Yeah, you
from
gotta
home.
relax a little bit and enjoy the ambiance. I'm on vacation, sort of. Never take a vacation. The reason why we're here, Miss, I was actually thinking about today's show and talking about relationships, and the first thing that came to mind is like how our relationship started. Kind of how we met and kind of how we crossed paths. And what do you think kind of led us to be where we're at today, Miss Rognus?
It's kind of interesting because I know I wasn't really working my usual, job as a lender when I met you. So, I was hosting karaoke, which has been a side job for 12 years or so. And
Yeah.
I just, oh, hey, I'm a lender. And you're like, oh, I can help you, grow your business. And at one point we just became good friends. I think that was like the turning point. So good friends that work together and make funny videos.
And now doing broadcasts on Facebook Live and
Right.
doing stuff. I mean, and I think everybody knows that Kelsey and I, work together. I do real estate, and then Kelsey does the lending part. And what I think continued that relationship, it wasn't just meeting and having a common interest because I do karaoke too. It was kind of a collaboration. We collaborated with the same thing, the same kind of idea. And then when we started talking and I guess formulating a friendship, we really had a good basis for communication. We had a kind of a good, I guess from your perspective, like we communicated in the same way. We had a similar business love language, if you so to speak.
Right. So
is that how it was for you?
That's important with business to be on the same page and have the same dynamic, I feel, because not everybody works with everyone the same.
Yeah, and that was really key to me, and especially because I'm very meticulous about who I select and have on my inner circle, and it's hard, I think, to trust somebody, not only in your personal life but in a business structure too, because you don't want to lose a transaction, you don't want to because whoever you associate with is obviously a reflection on you, wouldn't you
Right.
say?
Well, and it's the most important thing somebody's going to do. I mean, there's 5 things that are the most stressful and most important things, and part of that is when you buy a house, and we're most of that transaction together. So
Yeah, we're pretty much married that whole 30 days on a transaction. So, but with all that said, that brings me to our guest today, Ms. Rognus, talking about and sharing relationships. And since we're on that topic, this gentleman I've known for quite a while. And when we started this whole CEO network journey, he's just always been part of that. So, if I may, he's originally from, I can't say it. Ecuador.
I was gonna say you're gonna struggle.
I'm gonna murder it. Guayaquil, Ecuador. I'm sure he'll correct me in a minute. Has been part of a community advisory board for Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone. He's part of the American Cancer Society Latinos contra el Cáncer and many others. Recipient of the 40 Under 40 Hispanic Leadership Award, Business Journal Diversity Champion Award, as well as many others. He is the founder and CEO of Novle. Please welcome Mr. Carlos Velasco. Look at that. Okay, I don't know where the studio audience is coming from. They're coming around somewhere around here. Oh, hold on here.
Uh-oh.
That was Violet screaming in the background. Hello, Mr. Velasco. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm very happy to be here. Happy Thursday, everyone. The only reason why I don't have a beer in front of me is because I just found out that I'm at home and we ran out. So
Well, you're probably working, right?
but I am probably walking a little bit, yeah. So again, real honor to be here and share this time with you and Kelsey. So hope to be able to share some
Shed some light. So,
some light about relationships and whatever it may be.
so this whole relationship thing, I guess we can start off with Novle, because a lot of what your business is tied into relationships. Do you want to give a brief kind of synopsis of what Novle is?
Yeah, I think Noble is an idea, right? I think it's an idea that comes from my own life experience. I'm a product of community. I grew up in the city of Guayaquil, Ecuador, right around 1978 and 1991. I lived in that city, and it was a new neighborhood, new development. I think at that time Ecuador faced one of this hardest recession, so there wasn't a lot of money around, but there was community, right? And for me as a kid, I felt I lived one of the happiest childhood a kid could have, because I was just a kid that was part of a community, was part of a tribe. So all of the work that I do at Noble is related to helping brands connect to the Latino community in ways that are meaningful and also profitable. But it all comes back to how through our platform and through our outreach, we're able to build community for our clients. And community is beautiful, man. Community is when meaningful relationships happen, connections. Community is when you create a sense of belonging for people, and that's what Noble is in a nutshell, right? As an idea.
So, you're from Ecuador, and you did say, how did you say your city? Guayaquil?
Guayaquil.
Oh, that's way better than I said.
Guayaco.
I'm just glad it wasn't my job to say that, because there's no way.
I have trouble too. So, I mean, I think a
was on
lot.
a completely different, like hard letter way of saying, and I was like, oh, that's not it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things. I mean, and I think everybody knows I'm Hispanic, and there's some things about Latinos and the community that I feel dissociated with, if that makes sense. Does that? And I think a lot of people that were born in America that have kind of the Hispanic descent and I kind of feel that way. I don't know. I mean, I barely know Spanish, but you came from Ecuador, and you came here at what age?
I came here when I was 12. I turned 13 in the States. So, that was just, we weren't able to gain legal access to the States. So we had to do the whole undocumented situation for a while. Came in through Tijuana.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of adjustment, right? Just coming in again from a place where I belong and I have my neighborhood to now having to learn a new language and go to a new school. And so there was just this big process of adapting. But from the moment that I got here, I recognized that there was something about this land and this country, even at a young age, that allowed me to, I don't know, dream bigger or have a sense that things were attainable. I remember just seeing all of the technology at that time and just everything that America represented. And I was just excited. I'm like, hey, I want to be part of this culture. I want to be part of this idea of what this country is and what it represents. Because even as a little kid in Ecuador, right, our country was so influenced by American leadership and culture. And I think that's what attracted me so much to want to be here and be part of that.
Yeah. And so I guess since you came from a different country at a relatively, observant age, I mean, you said 13.
Uh-huh.
I guess from what you saw coming from Ecuador, I'm sure it's filled with a lot of aspirations and dreams and things, possibilities, because that's kind of, I think looking from the outside of America that you kind of get, does or did the aspirations you had before you got here, or at least when you got here, are they different than what the reality is?
Well, of course, because I was a kid, right? So my aspiration was to go to Disneyland. Like that was my thing, right? And
Oh,
being able to go to Disneyland 3 months in was just amazing to see how this land of fantasy was built and all the things that you could do. So it just really sparked this sense of how great this country is in a way that it could just create such a place. Again, coming from Ecuador, uh, we weren't quite there yet, right? When I lived there. So it just kind of gave me again that sense of like, wow, everything's possible in this place, right? And Disneyland was that first sort of realization of making that tangible for me. It was like, whoa, this is amazing.
so you
Right?
thought you'd meet Mickey and things would be wonderful.
Yeah, you're just wild by it, right? At my age, and again, coming from where I came from, right? It was just like, again, it just gave me that sense of like, everything's possible here, right? Everything's possible. Like, you build this, whatever it may be.
Well, are there things that that you had in your mind, or at least from an outside perspective, that are different than what people kind of, I guess, get kind of jaded about here, that don't realize that, or don't realize the things that they do? Because for example, like when I went to Spain on one vacation, a lot of the beaches are topless, right? And you don't think about that sort of thing, but it's very shocking when you come across it or come upon that. You're like, oh, there's everybody's not wearing a top, and including women. But going into a different culture, you don't expect certain things. You know what I mean? And so, is there like a learning lesson for Americans or for people? I guess in business, it doesn't matter, whatever relationships, because we'll get into relationships, I guess, in a minute. Is there something that you've taken away that you wish that you can tell people or share with people that I guess they lose track of or don't realize? Being
I
American.
think I think it's what I tell my kids. Is a lot of times people that maybe haven't lived outside of the U.S. don't have that perspective, and you just feel like the world exists just the way it does here everywhere else, and that's not the reality, right? I think the immigrant really appreciates the sense of opportunity that the country grants because it's able to relate it to other places and other experiences, right? And not that those things hold less value, but they're just different. Again, here you just really have the sense of how well things operate, that you have a sense of a good democracy. No, I'm speaking like an adult, not like a child. Just I think a sense of saying like, hey, if I do something here, if I work hard enough, if I believe in my dreams, I can fulfill them to my full capacity. So I think that's a lot of times where I try to instill in my kids and saying, don't forget the privilege that you hold by being in this space. Sometimes as messed up as it seems and as difficult as it's been lately with like division and racism and all the things that we've seen, you're still in a great place, and there's billions of people that will give anything to be in the place that you are to fulfill their dreams. And so just not losing perspective, and I have to remind myself of that too every day as well. Saying don't lose perspective of the responsibility and the opportunity that you have in this country to do something great.
Yeah. Family. So we talked about that too. So if I may, I like sharing stuff. This is who are these people? Do I recognize any of these people?
Yeah, that's my wife, and then obviously we've been married 10 years now, and 13 years together, and it's been wonderful. And there's my son, my oldest, Gianni. He's 20. He's a wildcat, and he's living out in Tucson on his third year. And Alex, my son as well. He's 19. He's going to school from home right now, and then and he was working in the company with me for a little bit. And then we have Ezra, which is our 7-year-old. So yeah, that's my family.
Yeah, I stole that from your Facebook. We Kelsey and I troll you and talk about people like you as we go along.
Where's your wife from?
So she was born here in Arizona, and her parents are from Agua Prieta, Mexico.
Oh, you're from they're from Agua Prieta? So I'm originally from Douglas, so that's like a literally a throw stone away from, or
I
stone
had the
throw.
pleasure to go to Agua Prieta, whether you believe it or not, but because of this COVID situation. And but the biggest selling point for Agua Prieta is their hot dogs.
Oh, the Sonoran hot dogs.
The most amazing thing you can have. So I'm looking forward to having that experience soon.
I don't eat meat, man. I don't eat the hot dogs.
Well,
Kelsey, do you like hot dogs, Kelsey?
it's abundant.
I will eat hot dogs.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a prude when it comes to hot dogs. That's a different story. That's a different.
Hold on, whoa! We're talking about food, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Who's watching here? So as we come closer to the first segment break, I do want to make a full disclosure. Carlos and I have been involved for a while, and I wanted to bring him on the show regarding business relationships. And Kelsey's a huge part of that too. Where I'm at and where I'm at in my business and the new adventures, because our CEO network is relatively a new adventure. We rebranded, and Carlos is really good about rebranding, or at least advising on rebranding. So if I may again, here's, let's see, this is hard working off a small screen. This is Mr. Carlos at our January event last year, when this is pre-COVID, so don't mind the social distancing. And then we have Miss Gabby Chaidez, who is our partner and CEO network. Dora Basaka, she does our photography as well as some of our print marketing. And then we have Rebecca Rodarte, who she's a writer. She's an individual author, and she does a lot of writing stuff. So Carla's been part of the adventure as we've come along this our CEO network. Let's see if I have any other ones. See if I found this one. I don't know if Violet's watching still. Sometimes she runs off. Let's see. I wanted to show this one. So this was at my 40th birthday party. So, relationships, I believe have a very significant part in your business, your personal life. There are some things that we can talk about during the next segment. I do want to focus more on Novle, but we are here at our first commercial break. So we do have Mr. Carlos Velasco here, Kelsey Rognes, co-host. She's going to be piping in with those steaming questions for Carlos, keep him on his toes. That's what she likes to do. So if you guys want to hang in there for a minute, we're going to go to our first commercial break, and we will be back. You guys ready? Hold on. Oh, and we have a giveaway.
We do.
Yes. So if you're watching us, hang in there, and we'll be back with you.
There's no real balance in life, but you have to balance things out the best you can. My passion simply comes down to appreciation. Anything I have, as minimal as it may be, that I can see others that aren't as fortunate. I'm just thankful that I have life. I'm thankful I have my general health to begin with, so that I can fight for goals that I have. I think the person deep down is generally an entrepreneur, or they're not. You're just that personality type. You don't fit the mold of doing a job just to get by. When I did it, it's because I had a passion that I wanted to do things and not be dictated by corporate rules and the establishment. Living by my guidelines, not needing somebody else to provide for me. My name is James Castañeda, owner of Expert IT Support, and this is our CEO Network.
That was Mr. James Castaneda from Expert IT Support. So if you have any Expert IT Support issues or IT services, Mr. James Castaneda is the person to call. So Kelsey.
Yes, type in the questions and keep giving us the love with those heart emojis. Wow, emojis are good too. Anything that you were hearing today that you like, and keep the comments and the questions coming, of course.
We love those hearts. So we're back here with Mr. Carlos Velasco of Novle. He is the owner and founder. And we're here to talk about relationships. Kelsey, again, we started out the show talking about our relationship, and I think we need to hear Mr. Velasco's kind of perspective on relationships and what Novle is all about too.
Well, I think, relationships is the core of our business, right? when you look at what holds an organization, I think in any enterprise or venture, it's always going to come down to relationships, right? It's that truth about is not so much what you know, but who you know. I think that is the key to that opens all doors and closes all doors. So we have always made it a point in our organization, in our work, to understand how to build meaningful relationships with people first. What is the story? We always believe that other organizations or individuals have a story to share, and stories are powerful. So, one of the strategies that we always utilize in relationship building is always behind what is the story that I have to know and understand? Where are my opportunities to connect to that story? What is the value that the individual in front of me is seeking from me? And am I in a position to fulfill that value to continue to grow and expand on that relationship? So the key of our business has always been to come with an attitude of servitude, with an attitude of learning and listening, and genuinely and authentic caring about the person in front of us, right? No assumptions. There's so many assumptions that I think sometimes we come in and we bring into relationship building that handicaps us from understanding uh, things and or recognizing opportunities to bring value and gain value. So
Yeah, and I think,
that's the organization and the work we do.
yeah, and you say servitude, and for me, my perspective and what I've learned along this pathway is contribution. So you say servitude, and I use contribution, and I think that's really the key into defining what your meaning is in life. It's not so much a profession. I think there's three key areas that everybody really has to understand or really grapple with, which is your home life, so your intimate partner, your relationship, and then your social group, the people that you surround yourself with, friends and coworkers, and then there's your actual profession. And I think once you come to light on those three areas of life, you're able to contribute. The more you're able to contribute, the more meaning you have in that life. Is that something that that you've come across, Carlos? Does that kind of resonate with you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was what my mom, as from a very young age, would have this dicho, right? And I'll say it in Spanish, and I'll try to do the best way to translate it and
Was it dicho? What is it?
transcreate it. Dicho is a saying, right? She would always say that el escondido, el acomedido vive del escondido, which was this call to action around, hey, whenever you're in a space, if you really concern yourself with creating value and bringing value to people, your needs are going to be met. Things are going to be taken care of, right? Because people notice those things. So again, I have always taken this approach that in any space that I'm in, no matter what, whether I'm at your house or whether I'm at a mixer, uh, what can I do to provide value? Where is there a need that I can fulfill? And a lot of times, where is there a need that I can fulfill without even being asked, right? And I think those have been pillars for the growth and success of our organization with not only our clients, but our strategic relationships. It's always thinking about almost how to get ahead of what we perceive are the needs of people. How can we fill them? And people notice those things, and people value those things, and people in return always want to help, right? So a lot of times, even before I'm asking for anything, I'm asking for a need that it needs to be fulfilled. I'm trying to figure out, it's like, how can I help? How can I serve? And where are those opportunities where I can even do those things without being asked, right? So again, and those are part of the strategies of understanding people's stories and people's needs. People don't have to ask you for things a lot of times in order for you to fulfill them. You can recognize them. People tell you, "Oh, Carlos." A lot of times, people are speaking and they're telling me, "I need this, and I'm looking for this, and I'm looking for that." And they're not making any promises, but I'm genuinely listening. Then, in my mind, I'm thinking, "Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this for this person because I know that if I make this connection, it's going to be valuable for what they're trying to do." And again, and people are sometimes very grateful or surprised by the fact that, "Oh man, I didn't know you went out of your way to do that for me." And, yeah, absolutely, man. I think what you're trying to do is great, and I want to support it in whatever way I can.
Yeah, and I think that's very evident between Kelsey and I, because Kelsey and I typically have the same clients. I think pretty much 90% of our clients are the same, right, Kelsey?
Yeah. I've definitely seen multiple names pop up that are the same, and I'm like, hey, awesome. What can we help with?
Yeah, and it's like it's so funny because you come across these people and clients and just people in life. Even I think we've had those moments, Carlos, where it becomes more than just a business transaction. It becomes more about life stuff, life circumstances, and when for me, in my experience, and I don't know if it's the same for Kelsey, for the same for you, it tends to be very consoling, like you're their counselor at times, and it turns into more of a friendship. And so, the thing I guess I wanted to ask you is there a definitive line between friendships and businesses, or having a friendship versus a client per se, or is that line blurred?
There's a balance. I think that and it also requires a certain level of understanding and leadership to be able to maintain those relationships. Funny that you asked me that. I was having a conversation with a leadership coach recently about what leadership looks like and feels like. And I'm going to talk about in the space that I work in, that is primarily the Latino community, right? We come with a different sort of style, with different uh, different forms and in different ways of what we're accustomed, in different ways in how we perceive leadership. So a lot of times it's difficult to not blurry those lines between, let's call it, friendship and business, right? How do you maintain the sometimes in leadership, how do you maintain the level of authority and influence that you need without losing the warmness and the feel of what we Latinos appreciate a lot, which is that friendship, right? So I think it's just a matter of a clear understanding of the values. What are the values that the person in front of you holds, and are they in alignment with the values that you hold? Having clear conversations behind some of those limitations and saying, hey, I draw the line in this space, great, and respecting those things. Um, and again, I think it's just about transparency and openness in conversation. Like you and I, Robert, we have this type of relationship. We have our business relationship, we have our friendship relationship, and I think we're able to make differentiations between when we are being friends and when we are managing business, right? And when is a good place to conduct business, and when is a good place to just conduct friendship. So I try to separate those things as much as I can. A lot of times I might be at a party and this is happening, and people want to talk to me about shop, and I'm like, right now I'm here to enjoy you. This is about our friendship. But yeah, man, I'm making a note. But let's talk about that later, right? When we're in let's talk it over coffee, or
Yeah,
in a setting that is business setting, in a setting that is friendship setting. So again, it's just communication and being transparent and clear with those things.
yeah, and again, I think the challenge and it's been a challenge for me too. It's those lines are blurred significantly because, again, I don't call clients. I call them mostly friends. And some people that I find are short-term friends. There's some people we don't necessarily wanted to continue to work with. But I think, in Kelsey, you can pipe in too. I think the honesty piece of that really comes in just to being honest with yourself. I think that's the biggest discovery within me, is that the more I've been honest with myself and say, hey, this isn't a good situation, or this is a good situation, or this isn't a good person for me right now, it doesn't mean they're not necessarily good or beneficial to somebody else. And so many times, I'll be talking to Kelsey about a transaction and very, very business oriented. Then we'll jump into kind of our personal lives. And, the lines get blurred. We talk a lot of personal stuff. And you and I talk about personal stuff too. Is that?
I mean, it's the same, same sometimes when, even if it's not a repeat client, a client I've worked with for, a while, we started in a pre-qual, maybe it took a couple months to get and find a house. And I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I had this crazy thing happen today, or we just, get off track and talk a little bit and then come right back. But I feel that it does add that personal aspect in my business. And that's why I actually like kind of blurring the lines in that sense.
Do you find that the benefit though, Carlos? Especially like in our formal business relationship, we've come across our own challenges, and we don't have to air that out right now because we've done that before. But I think at the end of the day, despite those challenges, we're still good friends, and we still communicate. We still have beer. And I wish I was at the office right now because we could have had that
Right.
weird.
But I think it comes down to recognition, right? I mean, there's no sense of expectation on like every friendship and relationships. The relationships are difficult to manage. I mean, we even with the close ones, even with the people that you love the most, right? Your parents and your children and your wife, even in those relationships are difficult to manage. Managing relationships outside of that is the same thing. So, but I think it just comes to a place where, to what you guys point out, is understanding who you are and making sure that you show yourself authentically in the most authentic and genuine way that you can with the person in front of you, making sure that you are in alignment with the values of that person in front of you, and making sure that, again, if it happens that maybe you default to something or make a mistake or there's a particular situations, communicate, right? Just like sometimes oh, I forgot to mention this to my wife, or oh, I told her I was going to do this and I didn't, and now she's upset. But I think people are always leaning into honesty and saying, hey man, I'm sorry, I should have done this. And or or in business, a lot of times you do things without recognizing, and you're like, hey man, I wasn't being mindful enough to recognize that it was something that upset you or you weren't in agreement with, but my apologies, I'll make an adjustment. And for the most part, people are willing to say like, hey man, I get it, because we all go through those situations, right? As long as I always say it's not something super detrimental, I think it's okay with the fact that sometimes in business, like in personal relationships, there might be some friction and conflicts or disagreements, but it doesn't mean that you have to lose the core essence and the core values that made that relationship happen in the first place.
Yeah, because Novle, from all accounts, is about branding versus marketing. And I think that highly ties into relationships. So I didn't know if you want to kind of branch out and talk a little bit about what the branding aspect of what Novle represents or what you do.
So our idea is that we always look at organizations and because we are a relationship oriented brand, we think about is how do we help this brand build a relationship with its audience? How do we help them market their unique value proposition and the impact and value that brings? What is the story that this organization and brand needs to tell? Because a lot of organizations have done tremendous work in their communities, and a lot of times they're not telling the story. So we all come in and be like, man, you got a great story. Let's tell it. Let's market that story. And we also ask them, what is the story that you're trying to create with your brand? It's more of a legacy conversation as far as like, hey, you're going to be here for so long with your business. You have a vision. And if you were telling a story to your grandkids 20 years from now, what is that story you're going to say? As far as like how you treated your team, how you build your brand, how you provided your value proposition, how your customers spoke about you, how the community spoke about your brand. And we really work with our clients to help them deep into the meaning of why they started their business, what is their true call to purpose, which is that meaningful aspect of it. And typically when you are able to expose and market into those things, then you become profitable, right? The money just by osmosis will come if you are true to who you are as a brand, who you're true to who you are as a business. So that's really what Novle is helping to create those meaningful connections between the brands and the communities, right? In order for them to be profitable, in order for them to grow.
Yeah, and I think from what I gather, it is to identify what you do and or facilitate helping with is identifying value versus a strength, because we and Kelsey can pipe in too, but sometimes we talk about figuring out what your strengths are. Put it on your resume, provide all your strengths, and I guess that's a clear articulation sometimes of what we can do, I guess, proficiently. But that's different than value, correct?
Are you asking me or Kelsey?
Whoever, it's open audience. you're the guest, Mr. Velasco. If I may be so formal, Mr. Velasco, you are the guest. But Kelsey can pipe in too if she wants. We're not very formal here, But
yeah, we're doing it in a formal way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Value is value, right? I think we all can bring value to relationships with people. The thing is understanding what is our unique value proposition, man. What is that one thing that you do that is different from what everybody else is trying to do, and what is your commitment to that promise, right? And that can come through sometimes pricing, it can come through quality, it can come through experience, it can come through a lot of different things that you can provide your customers. But everyone's looking for value. Some of that value is, a brand is a brand, right? It's this is a commodity, right? Shoes are shoes, phones are phones, cars are cars. But then yet people still every day make choices based on brand and what brand means and what brand fulfills, right? Because we need to continue to build on our identity and the things that align to our identity and that gives meaning to our identity as we're consuming out in the world, and we do that through brand, right? That's what some people buy BMW versus Mercedes, or Honda versus Hyundai, or Toyota versus Nissan. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a car. Yeah, right?
I mean, I would disagree with that, but
Kelsey, go ahead.
oh,
Go for it.
I've had a lot of cars, and
Oh boy, here we go.
to me, depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for value in your gas mileage, you're going to buy a different car than if you're looking for the value of being able to off-road, or if you're looking for something that has a nicer interior, something that lasts longer. I think that's why there's different brands and why there's different value to different people, because everybody's going to have a different value that they associate with everything. That's more so my take on it. But the car thing, I have a lot of cars, and I've had a lot of cars, and
She's got a lot of cars, Carlos.
some of them don't have the value that I spent on them. Specifically, one is on a tow truck almost every week.
Oh boy.
I think you're absolutely right. I think those are part of the features too that we look for. But again, I think people look for, again, some people value longevity and versus luxury, right? For them, it's like, hey, what I value is I want this freaking thing to run me 700,000 miles and never have to worry about anything except an oil change. And there are folks like, no, man, I want my luxury, right? And sometimes luxury is expensive, right? So again, it's okay. There's plenty of products and plenty of brands to serve different needs. But the idea is that good companies are very clear on what is that unique value proposition that they bring to the market, right? Like what makes them different and why them versus everyone else.
We can get into that more. We're approaching our next break, and I think we do talk a lot of philosophy, especially when Carlos and I get together. We're always kind of going back and forth on philosophical matters more than tangible items. And I think so many people look for that quick tangible thing. Like when people ask me, what do I do to create value? What do I do to kind of get myself out there? One of the first things I say is just read books. There's so many books on developing yourself, developing your skills, developing your value set, that discovery kind of happens upon yourself. So my quick answer to is like, how do I discover value? How do I make myself more marketable in this business market? Is read books, read or get information, or just do research. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there that'll teach you a different skill, sense of reflection, or build upon your business. Is there anything like that you can kind of give somebody a cookie kind of to I guess advice on what to do, Carlos?
Yeah, I think again is be real to the things that interest you. I think that's something that I had to learn. A lot of times you tend to want to fall into what other people are telling you to read, and then you force yourself to try to read some things that you're just like, I don't really have a genuine interest in. I'm almost forcing myself to read this. So part of how I changed my approach around learning is like, what do I really want to learn? And whatever it is that I learn, I could always apply into my business. That's the amazing part. Whether I'm learning about tennis, whether I'm learning about soccer and coaching and how they coach, those are things that I love, or whatever catches my eye, I know that there's a valuable lesson there that I can implement into my business. Because most of them are always going to touch into some level of process, system, value, philosophy, and leadership. Everything's always framed around those things. So be true to what you like to read and what you want to learn. And you soon enough will find out that you can learn about things that are not related to what you're doing and then apply them into what you know or what you're trying to do.
And that sounds perfect. So as we go into our next commercial break, we will be hearing from one of our sponsors. We are here with Mr. Carlos Velasco of Novle, owner and CEO, with many stories on how to build relationships. We're going to get into the Q&A spotlight, the last 20 minutes, so hang in there. We do have a giveaway, Ms. Rognes, right?
We do.
That.
Once we come back.
So hang in there, and we'll get to our last commercial break and be back.
I have a gift, and it's a healing gift to help others laugh and go through their lives, and I just want to share that. I would love to have just a really healthy relationship with everybody and be the person that I am in helping others grow. If you're a true entrepreneur, you have the spirit that's going to carry through, and they're self-motivating and reliant upon themselves for everything. Suburban is a company that hangs its hat on its reputation. You know, we're all about that handshake and a smile and a pat on the back. I believe in networking so you can meet other like-minded people and trade business secrets and help each other grow. My name is Jeffrey Wasaklo, and I'm the marketing director for Suburban Mortgage. And this is our CEO network. I did think you would forget about that.
Miss Jeffrey Wasaklo, Suburban Mortgage. Chelsea, you are quite familiar with Suburban Mortgage.
I was gonna say Jeffrey Velasco. She is my marketing director. So I actually, she was reminding me to take my CE courses. So
yeah, I need to do that too. But as we're back here with owner and founder of Novle, Carlos Velasco, we are talking about life, relationships, how to build them, how to keep them, and how to keep them moving forward. Back to you, Kelsey.
So as you watch, make sure to keep giving us the likes and the wows, typing questions so that we can ask our guests today. Give us the love heart emojis. Wow emojis are good too. Anything that you like to hear today on the show, keep comments or questions coming, maybe stuff that you want to hear more on the show, even. And then do we want to get into the giveaway now, or do we want to kind of?
We'll keep them on their seats.
Okay.
So we're back here at the Q&A portion. We have everybody on screen now. If you want to pipe in. So, I know we were talking, towards the end of the break there, about those things that we can do of value and what we can do. And one of my takeaways has always been on this journey. I mean, it started off in real estate. It's really got me to a point where I feel very confident in myself and my abilities and where I'm going in my direction. And there is a process, there is a journey to all that. And I think, meeting you, Carlos, you've been significantly part of that because you've given me those moments of reflection. So I do want to take the minute and kind of, share that with you and say, thank you.
Yep, I'm good.
Because again, there are certain people out there that challenge you. So I come across so many entrepreneurs that want to do, or see, or want to experience the things that, Kelsey and I have done and where we're at, or at least in where I'm at in my business. And, the most of it is like patience, time, and figure out yourself, figure out your path. My past has always been about helping people, but in my way. At the beginning of the show, we talked about contribution. For some reason, I have just always had the ability to kind of self-reflect and share my reflections upon everybody else. And people, from all accounts, really appreciate that sense of like the time I give and the information I'm able to share. And it's just stuff that my experiences and the stuff I've learned, have you had those moments, Carlos or Kelsey, where, you're on the right path, or that this is the direction you're heading? And that's an open question. Anybody can answer.
I mean, yeah, I mean, even back when I was, I was a waitress for a really, really long time. And I liked it. I really did like waitressing, but it wasn't super profitable. I didn't really like the places that I worked. It was more, I liked serving people and being able to talk to people. And there wasn't really like a reason to talk to them either. So there wasn't like, hey, I also do this. You know, I was a waitress and I still did karaoke at the time. And the opportunity that I got initially, I went into title and I did title work, and that was really just kind of like I was like, this is it. I have a a job where I'm going to make good money. I'm going to get into a field that is career oriented instead of being serving people their chicken. It's not always the path. That wasn't the path that I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I enjoyed it, but as soon as I got into title, I was like, perfect. And every closed opportunity, I do feel opens a new door for a potentially better opportunity. And so that door actually closed, and I was a little worried, but I was like, something better is going to come along. And I ended up meeting someone. My dad actually gave them my information, and they interviewed me, and I got into processing for a mortgage company. And I feel like that was the first step where I was like, okay, wow, okay, I'm doing something else, but this is like even more towards what I felt like I wanted to do. And as I moved up in the company, it just solidified that feeling. So I don't know. I don't know if that answered the question right.
Yeah, and actually it brought up a question for Carlos for me. So, again, we talk a lot of philosophy, you and me, Carlos. And do you believe that the opportunities people have are choice, or are they chance? So is it fate, or is it something that they create of themselves?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think when you were talking about a path, right? I don't believe at this stage of my life now, maybe it'll change, right? That there's a right path or a wrong path. There's just a path. And the only way that I've always felt, when I have to ask myself that question, like, is this the right path? It typically comes into intuition, right? Your intuition typically tells you something doesn't feel right. Something's not making me happy. Something's not fulfilling me, exciting me, or giving me this ability to try to be at a place or have the feeling that I want. So when those things happen is when I feel that either by conscious or subconsciously, you make those corrections, or sometimes life makes those corrections for you. And then you move into then you make either move into the new path or stay within the same path, but not with the right motivation and right feel. So that's just been my thing. And the only way that the only way that I could tell you, oh, I'm in the right path is in hindsight, right? It's by when I'm able to look at the rearview mirror and be like, oh, look at all the stuff that happened in my life. And in a moment where you feel happy and fulfilled and energized, you're like, oh, I must be in the right path. Right? It's the same thing when you're not in the right path. You kind of look back and you're like, man, this is shitty. This is not working. I'm not happy. I'm not motivated. Whatever it may be, I must not be in the right path, because the right path for me feels a certain way. So understanding what those feels are for you individually, and that's not heavy happiness, maybe it's misery, whatever. You choose. Just being true to that intuition, I think, is where you can begin to use your creative mind and your choices to set yourself in the course and the path that you're trying to be or wanting to be.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to get into something different, but.
Oh, I was just going to say it kind of goes back to, the opening a door. When one door closes, another opens. I think that the reason that's true is because you don't necessarily look for those opportunities the same if you're already on a path or already in a career or something that you're like, okay, I'm going to try and go with this, path. And that all of a sudden you hit a dead end and you're like, okay, well, now I need to make a decision. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And you're forced into that instead of looking on your own for that better opportunity. And that's kind of why sometimes it's good when the door closes, because it wasn't where you were supposed to be.
Yeah, and tying it back to relationships, talking about maybe chance meetings, or maybe they were on purpose. Maybe they're mindful in meeting somebody, And so I did want to bring up one relationship, since we're talking about relationships, which was this one. Do you want to talk about this young lady, Mr. Velasco?
Yeah, this is Isabel Chavez. She's been part of our team now for almost 2.5 years. And again, how this came to be was through I don't remember how I was connected to Isabel, but she at that time worked for an organization that was supporting people in that had or have been suffering from domestic violence. They were doing a community event uh, to bring more community members because domestic escaping domestic violence is very difficult. So
Yep.
they would do this event to get people to come in and provide them resources, and then also we'll make it a festivity for the kids. So she had asked me, "Hey Carlos, can you help me?" Like I was sharing with you before, I love the mission and what I were doing, and all of a sudden I got really involved into bringing in a DJ and a stage, and kind of became a project manager for the event. They to the point that they were kind enough to recognize me as volunteer of the year for that work. And I really felt I was really just impressed by Isabel's passion towards community. And like Kelsey mentioned, one door opens the next. I figured out, hey, I'm looking for a new opportunity. I'm like, hey, I think you'd be great for Noble, because I think your sense of how you manage relationships and your perspective about community and the position that you have and how people respect you for the work you do will be great to contribute to this work. So that's how Isabel and I have had this relationship, and it's been wonderful. And she has been a tremendous addition to the Noble organization and the Noble work.
Yeah, and see, there's those chance meetings. I think that in my experiences, there are many chance meetings and the things you're supposed to come across. Like that one night I went to karaoke night on whatever evening I was in, and Kelsey was there. There was that chance meeting, and if I wasn't in a better place, and if I wasn't very observant of kind of where I was, I would have missed that chance meeting and been partnered with her for so long and establishing this business relationship and the friendship that we have. It's been very solid. I see that very similar to you, and I think a lot of it is the communication style. We all have different communication needs, very much like a love language. I mean, this isn't an intimate partner. This isn't somebody uh, that's like a love relationship, but a very significant friendship that fosters in that. And I think if you're not in a good spot as an entrepreneur or as a small business, you'll miss those chance meetings on those people that are significantly supposed to help you in the pursuit of things in life as well as in business. I don't know if that's your take too, Carl.
Yeah, man, I think what I've learned, it's the cliches, right? Sometimes I hate them because they're true.
You're all about
And,
cliches.
yeah, it's that idea of like, man, if you understand how to work within your intuition and your gut feeling and not question that as much, I think that's when real opportunity happens, and that's real opportunity to meet great people, real opportunity to jump into a business adventure, great opportunity to do good, to have a good time, whatever it may be. I'm learning more and more that if I feel it and it's that feeling strong enough, I'm going to follow it because it never fails, man. It always leads you to something great. And I've also learned that when I haven't, then later on, I'm like, damn it, I knew it, I felt it, and I could have had the opportunity. Great, I take it as a lesson to continue to. It's a practice. I do think it's not something that it's something that you have to work towards understanding how to follow and understanding what that intuition is telling you and when to activate on that. But that would be my only experience that I can share with folks. Is like, if it's a strong feeling and intuition, don't question it twice. Just go for it blindly and see where it leads you.
That's true. Kelsey, did you want to fill in there? We got about 7 minutes left, and we have a couple other things. We have a giveaway to kind of get to too.
Um, just you want me to play it off of the
You do whatever you want.
conversation, new conversation, or I was trying to listen and not overtake.
Well,
too
I
much.
mean, as far as our relationship too, I mean, have you kind of seen those things and see how that develops? And because I think it's important in terms of relationship and branding and what we have going on as far as business relationship. Is there any aspects that you've taken away from this little adventure? Because we've been working together for about 2 years now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the biggest takeaway for me, in my perception of it was, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I didn't have to throw it out there that I was a lender. I didn't have to give my info. I could have been focused on karaoke and saying, oh, yeah, they're not here for, someone's not here for me to hand my business card out. But, meeting connections and meeting people is part of our jobs. Both our industries are slightly different, but also pretty connected. And if you don't get out there, meet people, talk to someone, I've met people. My first loan for somebody, I was an assistant, and I sat down at a bar. It was a bar I'd never been to. I was bored. I was like, I'm gonna have a drink before I go to bed. I'm gonna hang out here for a minute, see if they have anything going on, anything cool. And I sit down and I start talking to a guy at the bar, and he's a veteran, and tell me about a divorce he's going through. It's not finalized, and just kind of having a conversation, and it turned into I did a loan for him, and I helped him with some of the stuff he needed to do before the loan actually started. And that was really my first loan. But if I hadn't have sat down, if I would have, oh, you're a drunk guy at the bar, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to work with him. I still communicate with him, and he's the first loan that I did. I've been in the business for, 8 years now. It was probably 5 years ago now that I did his loan, if not more. So I just think that every opportunity is important, and you should never be scared to take those opportunities in life or in friendships.
Well, and I think what you mentioned too is about time. I think, and Carlos can answer, I think, this part, but allowing yourself the time. If you get so caught up in your own kind of BS and your own world that you do miss those opportunities. Separating your issues from somebody else's issues, going back to contribution. I think the takeaway, and I think you can fill into, Carlos, is about just giving time, and really genuine time, not just listening, but really hearing somebody's story. You did mention that. Is that kind of the takeaway for relationships, Carlos?
Yeah, listen and connect. Listen and connect. Don't be afraid. It takes a little bit of courage, right, to get personal with people. It takes a little bit of tact too, right? Understanding. I for me this is easy because I've been doing this 17 years professional. It's almost like what I'm looking to master, right? It's been what are people's levels of comfort and how people open up. But what I find out is if you stay with it persistent enough and you have enough tact, people eventually, everyone wants to share their story. Everyone wants to share their interest, their passion. Everyone has an interest about something, whatever that may be. And to your point is, I've had people share things with me where I'm like, could you be interested in this? Interesting about what you're sharing with me, right? But that's just my mind sometimes telling me that. But to your point, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to really dig into this and make myself be interested. And then later on, I found out I was like, oh shit, that was really cool, man. I just learn all this new stuff, which makes me more interesting later because then I can share those stories with other people, right? Makes me cool because I'm like, hey, I met this person. Or a lot of times I make those stories my stories, and then be like, hey, did you know that so thing in China happened because of that. So yeah, have fun with it. To Kelsey's point, you never know what you're gonna. I've made a lot of great connections in random places, and only because I was just open to meeting people and not having prejudgments and saying like, let's see what this person's about. They're willing to talk to me. That says something, right? I'm nothing special. I take that position of saying, well, what an opportunity, right? That this person feels that I'm worth their time and that they're willing to talk to me. So great. I'm going to take full advantage.
And I think you would agree too. And as we get towards the end of our show, taking the time and really separating, again, your own agenda for a minute, or even just, maybe a little while to hear somebody's story, kind of what they've gone through, is the most significant that I think in a relationship, or at least the start of one. Any relationship. I work with everybody. I listen just about everybody. I know I drive Violet crazy by talking just about everybody, but everybody's got value, and it's such a enduring and a nice piece to really highlight somebody, really care about somebody, and really show them what kind of value they have. But
Well, if I can add really quickly, I think
okay.
about adding value. Here's the thing: is like because like you guys, I'm in the networking business, and there's been a lot of times where people come to me and I would ask me for an opinion or advice or insight. And a lot of times you give those things just because you say, like, here's what I think, right? And then later on, 3 to 4 years later, I come across these people and they're like, hey man, what you told me about so and so changed my life, or really made a difference in my business, or really helped me with this relationship. So don't undervalue this fact of what you know and what you're able to share with other people. Because I had one mentor that once told me that the successful business was how you administer your business, and that impacted me my whole life. And the whole reason why I think I'm here with the organization is because I took that to heart, and I've done everything to say that the priority of my business is making sure that it's well administered. And that's just one simple thing that she said, that if I would have probably not heard it, I probably would have not put in as much emphasis and effort to business administration, right? So anyway, it's an example for hopefully for your audience to pay attention to what you hear and figure out if you have something valuable to share it.
And
I
yes,
have
we will.
something valuable. The giveaway.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue, Kelsey. Thank you.
Actually valuable. So
we're giving away a giveaway.
the giveaway is we determined what, $25 Starbucks gift card. Okay.
So we can make it local. If you guys are okay with that, I mean, whatever you guys did. I don't care. Whatever.
So we have a $25 gift card. So if Carlos,
to their favorite local coffee shop. There we go.
Your favorite local coffee.
Yeah.
So if there's a fair trade cafe, no?
Fair trade, they can do Lola. We're support local if possible. I think that's important in the community. Or I'm a board member of Local First, and I always like to encourage and support people to.
Oh, well, and since we're over our time, how do we win this gift card? Kelsey.
You have to go to Carlos's website. Do you have that to put up?
Oh, yes. Hold on one second.
Carlos's website, you have to find on
We
his
Are
website.
Novle.
The one thing that Carlos is not good at is that's how you said it earlier, right?
Isn't that right, Carlos? Is that the right information? So if you go to wearenovle.com and find out what Carlos is not good at, you can win a $25 gift card. That's going to wearenovle.com, wearenovle.com. Carlos at wearenovle.com. Is that enough? We Are Novle?
Wearenovle.com, yeah. We are enhancing our website, and I wonder if today what's the data they plug from the old one to put in the new one. So
okay, well, if you can't find it on Carlos's website, go to his LinkedIn profile, message him, and ask him what he's not good at. If you're the first person to do that, you'll get the gift card.
Yeah, and that's just DMing us here at RCO Network. If you want to send us the information or the answer, we'll get you that gift card, or we'll bribe Carlos to send you that gift card somehow, in some way. We can hound him down for $25. But we're towards the end of the show. I did not mention one thing, because we do
CEO Network giveaway.
Oh
yeah.
Yes, that too. We are so behind. We are minutes behind.
All right, I'll say it really, really, really quickly. You don't even have to put the thing up. There's a contest. My CEO Network has a contest. If you submit your story or somebody else's story of success, you get a free professional video live interview, 1 month of social media content. Send your story to I almost had it. Send your story to info@ourceonetwork.com to enter the contest. We're going to pick a success story, and that will be the person who wins. I mean, seriously, like, I know everybody has a friend, a neighbor, a family member, somebody who's been successful that you're like, wow, that person is just amazing. I mean, I don't know. Sneak over there, talk to them, and then enter in the contest for that.
And then one last thing, because we always rush things towards the end and never get to it. RCO Network. If you want to market your business here at RCO Network, we create your marketing videos, offer you social media management support, and highlight you at our events such as today's call. Instant messages here at Facebook at rconetwork.com or RCO Network for details about becoming a sponsor and marketing opportunities. Thank you, Mr. Carlos Velasco. We are over our time, but we love just having you here because we love you. That's all.
Because we love the loves.
Yeah, we share. Look at it. I'll give you a virtual heart emoji right now. Anything last word you want to say, sir, before we end the show? You got no
Thank
time.
you, guys. Please continue to do this work to highlighting different CEOs and influentials and people in the community. And thank you for staying real to who you are. So Robert, Kelsey, Valerie, thank you again for all your work.
Violet.
Violet.
She's the most important. She's the glue that keeps us together. It's okay though. She won't mind. So I want to thank you, Miss Kelsey Rognes from Suburban Mortgage, for being here with us as our co-host. Mr. Carlos Velasco, thank you, sir. Mr. Novle, we are novle.com. Please visit their site and let us know what Carlos is not good at, and you'll win that $25. But we're out. Peace out. Much love.
Bye.
See you next week.